Hello.
Jackal. And then we've got a very cute little rainbow lorikeet just over here.
Okay. Does this one speak?
No, he will. He'll talk. He'll say hello, but not. None of them really speak on command. It's just if they're in the mood, they'll talk. Isn't that right? Hey.
Hello. Oh yeah.
Hey, Felix.
Look at you. Look at you. Oh,
It's like he knows he's on show.
That is so cute. So you're a movie star.
He's actually very young. He's only about 1.5 years old.
Uh-huh.
So he is the youngest of our rainbow lorikeet presentation birds. Okay. We've got a good 20 years out of this boy though.
Oh look. Very nice. A little action film.
Good actor.
Very.
Now she's a bit more comfortable. Oh. Susie, your pretty pink hair tie. How cute was that? Look.
You're the bird that used to come and get food from the guests at the restaurant at Northern Queensland. So nice to meet you. I know, make me nervous. You are the female to the green one over there. So you live to be 100 years old. You lucky bird.
I've got a lot of food to put out today. I've got lots and lots of different stuff on my trolley here. So I'm going to put out a big chunk of fruit for him. We put these big chunks out to kind of make it kind of like a wild dish, that kind of food. Look down there, these little black and white birds, they are little pied cormorants. Now we do have one big cormorant, he might come over as well. His name is Bob. There's Bob just there. Now if the cormorants don't eat these big fish, those turtles certainly will. To be a little bit fussy, these big fish here are called pilchards. They're like vegetables for these guys, and these guys are like little kids, they don't always want to eat their vegetables. So they seem to be ignoring. Alright, now I've got some little white bait here. Now this is like candy for our fish. They stay nice and buoyant on top of the water. Whereas these guys, as you can see, they are excellent swimmers. They need to be able to dive into the water. So staying afloat really doesn't help them. So cormorants, do you use the paddy melons in Australia?
Never heard of paddy melon.
So she does have a long life ahead of her. It's a little bit more not sure how long they live for in the wild, just because there are a lot more threats to them out in the wild. Now these guys are a very, very unique species. You only find them up here in far north Queensland, in the rainforest area, pretty much from your Cassowary coast, and that's including all of your flightless birds in the world. So that's your ostriches, the rhea, which is kind of looks like a really big emu.
A living dinosaur.
Not quite. There's another one that lives in New Zealand called kiwi, with our cassowary. They're very, very defensive and very, very territorial. If she were to stand up and you had a look at her feet, you'll see she's got 3 large toes, and the inner toe has a massive dagger-like nail on the end of it. Alrighty, so we will actually get the chance to feed Cass now. She may stand up for us. If she's not feeling like it though, we do have a boy that we can feed. Females are much larger than the boys as well, so if you have a good look at Cass when we go see our male, you'll see that he is much smaller. And as I said, they are defensive and territorial, and they are solitary out in the wild, so they really like their own space. Now, that helmet on top of her head is called a casque. That's made out of keratin, so it is nice and solid like your fingernails. They do need to find each other for breeding. So they'll vocalise to each other, and their vocalisation is a really low, booming, drumming noise. Now that actually sends vibrations through the ground. might not be able to reach from there, but we can give it a go. If you do want to feed him, all you have to do is grab a grape in your hand, poke it down over the boardwalk, and he'll reach up with his beak and grab it out. So feel free to grab a grape off the trolley and do that. I'm just going to squeeze past quickly.
Was there a lot of hunting or?
Not so much hunting. I mean, back in the day they were hunted, but the reason mainly for it is because they've lost a lot of their habitat. So with urbanisation, putting in roads, all that kind of different things, their range is restricted. If you have a look at that sign there, that actually tells you. So that's southern Cassowary. They're only found up here in Northern Australia. Good spotting. So she's coming over looking at the food, but I almost need an L plate for this trolley. There we go. Now you can see some male fig birds just coming in for that fruit that I've put out. So your fig birds are a very common species around up here in far North Queensland. Now that little one that's got a little tuft of feathers on the back of his head, they're actually his baby feathers, so he's quite a young one, so he's slowly losing that, but for now he's got a little mohawk. He's only about 3 years old. Now, we do have our breeding program for our black-necked storks back in the wetland section. We've got our male and female there. So he's actually a baby from them a few years ago. So I won't tell you too much about the black-necked storks, because if you do want to hear lots about them, the best tour to go on is the Wetlands feeding tour. That'll be right after this one. No, he's not too keen on the fish.
Typical of egrets and herons and those sorts of things. Herons, that was a heron that just flew by.
Did he steal the food?
No, he's got it here. Come here, mate. There you go. Good catch. Did you hope you got that one on film?
Yes, I did.
Long skinny legs. You know, they're not a swimming bird, they're a wading bird. They're being able to walk through the water really quite easily. Where are my barramundies? You want to come over? Or are you going to be scared?
Oh, that's okay.
Have you ever eaten barramundi before? It's on where this.
Okay, got it.
Alright.
There he is.
Come on, mate. You're not very hungry. Hey, where's your friend?
Barramundi.
Come on. Come on.
Whoa!
Another big one on the left there.
I see
as
why
well.
you didn't want to do that. Oh my gosh.
And they do have teeth,
Yeah.
so they can bite.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
There we go.
whoa.
Couple of barramundis in there.
Ooh,
Maybe
I
a little bit camera
understand.
shy today. That's Pirates being the boy on the left, and his lovely lady friend Chooky on the right hand side. They are part of what is called the Nightjar family, and they eat insects and bugs and things like that. So I've got a couple of wiggly worms here.
Oh, mealy worms.
Yep, and there you go.
Oh.
So they've got these little whiskers at the top of their beak there, whereas if I was a little moth or a butterfly to fly past, that would activate those whiskers, his mouth would open up wide, close shut, and swallow his little meal there.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
waiting.
you want more, don't you? And it's a very
Very
blunt beak as well,
Very
so
nice.
that wouldn't hurt me at all.
Oh.
But you guys come around. No worries. Alright, so all these birds are a pied heron. So just like the egret that we just met, very, very typical water bird, but a wading bird. You know, look at those long skinny legs. You can walk through the water really easily. And they're certainly not fussy eaters at all. Insects, worms, small fish, small crustaceans. Let's see what they do. I'll throw some barra in. There you go. And then you see that beautiful shiny bird with the long bill? that
Yes,
bends downward?
yes, yes.
He is a glossy ibis.
Ooh, what a pretty color.
Very, very pretty boy. Yeah.
Pretty color.
A couple more worms.
Yes.
He's literally just a juvenile, so he's just a
Oh, he's the
sub-adult.
same.
Exactly the same, but he's just waiting to be fully sexually mature.
Oh, he's lovely. Ah, there they go.
Can you see anything there in the rainforest? She's a diving bird. Now she is an Australasian darter. commonly referred to as the snake darter. You'll see lots and lots and lots. Now, they are part of the bat family, of course. They're part of the mega bat family, so they are one of the biggest out there.
What is their wingspan?
The wingspan of these guys, fully grown, let's say about 30 to 40 centimetres either side. They do get quite big. Okay, what is it that they eat? Very good question. They love to consume pollen. Okay.
That's long legs.
Very long legs. Meet James and Juddy. These are the two black-necked storks that live here in our wetlands area. Now, if you have a look at these two, is there any physical difference that you can look at between the pair? So they do pair for a lifetime.
That's good size.
So romantic, in fact, that these birds will actually go through a period of a day-old chicken, so absolutely tiny. Now, if their babies were here today, they would be exactly the same height. They would just have very brown feathers and brown legs. Now, I've got a little brown bird here that I'm going to show a fish to. There's a bit of streaked appearance. He is a man-king night heron. Don't let the name fool you though, even out there in the wild, they are seen hunting throughout the daytime. So these are beautiful black-necked storks.
Hello. Come and have a look, Barry. Oh. He's dead.
He's definitely dead, James. You can follow him now.
He's only just had his.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Well done, Mr. Night Heron. Now you get a special seat tab as well. Alright, there we go.
Very pretty one. Those are tree kangaroos. Tree kangaroos, but they don't seem to be in the trees.
Are very clean because when they're facing up they can just put their nose in and lick the pouch clean. When the pouch faces backwards it is a lot more difficult for the mothers to keep the pouch clean, especially if you're a big bulky animal like a wombat. Way is known as a mob. So a mob of kangaroos, a mob of wallabies, and we've got a small mob here. We'll talk about our kangaroos because our pelicans are wandering over there so they may lead us away. They're called yes and grey kangaroos. Very common in Australia, so quite large. That's one of the differences between kangaroos and wallabies, is kangaroos grow much larger.
Oh, look at those. They know him.
The other three are, they may be just taking their time, but if they're not coming over, they're probably not hungry.
Here he comes.
Oh, here he comes. Well, we got three. Okay. Now, they get 3 feeds of fish a day, our pelicans. So this is their second feed, and they will get another one about 4 o'clock this afternoon. I've got to make sure the fish go head first. If they go tail first, the fins and the scales face in the opposite direction, and it can lodge in their throats. The fish I'm giving them are called pilchards. They're not terribly fond of them, believe it or not. In the wild they love them, but these pelicans, they're a bit like Brussels sprouts for them. And if they took their time, they'd realise they're not going to miss out. But we give them a few different species of fish. And one of their favourites, I'll be giving them to them next, is called whitebait. It's a lot smaller, but they absolutely love them.
You'll notice on freshwater crocodile is much thinner to an arrow. Especially if you're in a very large item, such as a nice big boat or yacht, they tend to move away from you. Saltwater crocodiles is a very, very unusual behaviour. But for the freshies, it all just has to do with the fact that you're much larger and that they're a perfectly safe animal, when actually they're not at all. The freshwater crocodile can be just as dangerous as the saltwater one. The reason for that is each animal is being a lot smaller, and therefore you're going to feel every single little bite and chew that they make on you. Now, what's going on in the enclosure that we're seeing here at the moment is actually Hugo. Hugo is the one that's on top of the food chain we have in here. So very naturally, these boys are trying to keep their own little territories and zones to themselves. This is a very, very natural behaviour you see happen out in the wild all the time. Forever running out of any food source, and therefore they don't need to kind of eat one another to keep each other full. Plenty of room for them to spread it out. Because they can kind of keep this happy little family that they've got going on at the moment, that way they're able to actually guarantee that they all get a nice, decent bit of food, and also happy to try and introduce any females or anything along the way as well. This does have bone in it. And the more pressure, the louder the sound becomes. And pretty much when a crocodile is biting you out in the wild, probably the last sound you'll ever hear. A little bit of fighting and arguing over food at the back there. Whenever crocodiles are able to outswim any Olympic swimmer that us humans have ever put in the water before. Way out into the middle of nowhere. You'll almost definitely see them at kind of little tiny creeks as well, and also big beautiful waterfalls. If it's fresh water, these animals aren't too far away. They'll kind of come into their own. Now, the reason for this is these animals are trying to make sure that they're not overly maternal, they're not very protective about the baby side of things, but they want to make sure that their girlfriend is only for them and them only.